Hey, it's me, James, and I'm here to show you all how to go about extracting a line of 5 from a 9 card box. So as you can see, we have a 9 card box, and this box reading was done in my previous video, the Kipper cast for the month of August 2025. And in that video, I said that I was going to either do one or two processes. I was either going to evolve the story, which I actually did in the video, or that I was going to do the line of 5 extraction. And so since I did the evolving the story process, I said at the end of that video I was going to do a bonus video showing you all, because I had some viewers asking me to go through the process in depth, so I figured I'd make a singular video for that. And I'm giving a special shout out to Tamara, because I believe she was the viewer who asked for that. So Tamara, if you're watching, this is in part for you, but for anybody else who might be interested in it. Okay, so with that, if this is your first time here, if this is a video that you're landing on for the first time, I'd like to say welcome to the channel. Thank you for checking out some of my content. And if you're a returning viewer and subscriber, I'd like to thank you for continuing to circle back and for supporting the work that goes into the channel. So we are working with the Kipper deck, the latest one that I have made, and the one that I am very excited about. So this is the Mitchell Kipper. I love how this deck turned out, if I can say so. And so this was the 9 card box in that video, and so I will make a mental note to put a link in the description box below, and possibly in the comment thread as well, so you can check out that video if you're landing here for the first time. Okay, so the way you go about this is that you want to extract 5 cards. After you do your 9 card box reading, you want to extract 5 cards as a way to kind of sum up the reading. Okay, and so I did not create this technique. I actually found it in the pages of a Lenormand book. And so the book that I found it in is my favorite book on Lenormand. This is the Complete Lenormand Oracle Handbook by Kathleen Matthews. I love this book. And so I just love her approach. So if you want to see maybe a more in-depth walkthrough of this book, because I don't believe I've done one. I've mentioned this book several times during my Lenormand era, right? Because I go through eras in terms of cartomancy on the channel. And so this is when I was really steeped in Lenormand. This is a great book. But the reason why I'm sharing it is because I believe that systems like Lenormand and Kipper and Sibylla and Romany cards, they all share the same features. They talk about reading in lines and tableaus. And so I figured, if you have a process that maybe you use in one system and you love it, you should be able to work with it in another system. So I've just carried this over into my work with Sibylla when I dabble in Sibylla, Kipper cards especially, and Romany cards especially. So the way you go about it is that once you have done your reading, like I said, you start with your focus card. So now remember, in the previous video, the letter card was the focus card. It's usually the card that's in the center of your 9 card box. That becomes card 1. So you're going to take this card out. We're going to put it over here. Okay. Then you count 2. 1, 2. Then short illness is going to be your next card. Okay. Or my next card. Then you're going to count 2 again. 1, 2. Work occupation becomes the 3rd card. Then you're going to count 2. 1, 2. Then we have expectations. Okay, and then 1, 2, and then change is the last card. So these are the 5 cards. And so now you're going to remove the other 4 because you no longer need them. And so now remember, it's going to be cards 5, 7, 9, 2, and 4. That's usually the way it goes. Okay? So now we're going to lay out the cards in the order that they were extracted. And this becomes a new line. Okay, so then once you have your line extracted, then what you do is you notice that you have a new focal card, because the way I read a line of 5, and this is just personal preference. You could start with your first card and read it forward narration, meaning that this comes first and this, then this, then this, and this, right? Or you could read again with the hinge card. We call it a focus card, hinge card, heart of the matter, central issue of focus, just like in your 9-card box. So I'm going to start here. So, and you don't want to lose sight of your original question or context or any information that you gleaned from the 9-card box. That is all still relevant, yeah? But here, in this line, after the extraction, work occupation is the focus. So now this is the job, employment card in the deck, or that we are actively working on something, right? A play on the word work, right? In the image, like I talked about in the previous video, we have a construction worker. I'll hold it up. So we have a construction worker working on a construction site. So this card can be about physical labor, working with your hands, right? And that can symbolically represent activity, right? The hands for me can represent activity. So again, that goes with the idea of actively working on something, right? Okay. Now with Kipper, you want to notice directional cues, right? So there's a couple here. So the first one I notice is short illness, of course, because it's a connector card. And in my deck, the connector cards have a pink border, right? So short illness connects letter and work occupation. So now if we remember, we go back to the context of the 9-card box. In that one, I alluded to the idea that short illness was talking about sex and sexual activity, yeah? Right? And then, of course, we connect that to letter, and in that context, letter was the middle card in the box. So we talked about paperwork, documentation, conversation, communication. So that all still will apply, right? There's conversation, communication connected to sex and sexual activity, yeah? So we have conversation, communication, paperwork, documentation, all connected to sexual activity, right? And then we also have, also connected to it, work. What are we doing regarding these two, right? If these are connected and these are connected, what are we doing? What is the work that's going to come as a result of this, right? And then this is now order of the cards, right? If this comes first, then this comes after that. What are we doing in terms of work regarding this, right? Or that there's going to be something, that there's a foundation being laid that's going to be built upon, right? So that's these 3 cards. Next is expectation. So expectation is a cause and effect card, and it can suggest, by the yellow border, that the card behind it is the cause and the card in front of it is the effect, or what's going to be affected, right? So we read the directional cue. In the image, we have a woman who's looking out the window. She's looking at work occupation. So this is what's going to be affected, right? So expectation is a card, like I talked about in the previous video, that is about needs, wants, desires, or expectation, right? So the cause. What is the cause? So the cause is change, right? A change in circumstances. That is what the change card means. So a change in circumstances is the cause behind the expectation, the need, the want, the desire, the expectation for some work to be done regarding this matter. Yes? So now we have forward movement. Change is actually moving away from expectation. And here's the thing. So now we want to note this, because this is important. The change is moving away from the expectation, suggesting that, like I said in the previous video, that there's going to be some effort, some work, right, regarding the need, the want, desire, to kind of shift the narrative, to kind of move away from the expectation. And in that video, we talked mostly about the idea of the Epstein files, right? That's where I was going mostly with that. And I said that there was going to be an effort to kind of downplay it, to minimize it, to kind of shift the narrative, yeah? And you could see that here because of the change. Now, we could draw another card, and so I'm going to do that. I'm going to move the cards over, and we will allow space for another card. Okay, and we'll put it here to see where this change is going. right? And the green border, in case you're wondering, is implies it's a movement card, right? So for me in my deck, I made all the movement cards green. Okay, so we're going to take the deck. I have the deck still in the case, so I'm going to take it out of the case. All right, so I have the remainder of the deck here. I'm going to go ahead and shuffle. All right, and as you can see, I have selected the card. I'm going to put it next to change, and so now this is where it's moving towards, potentially. So the card we have here is, we have Thoughts. Okay, so Thoughts is a stop card, red border, and it implies there's some thought and consideration in terms of the future. This is a card that talks about research, analysis, but it's also a card about planning and planning for the future, right? So it's moving away from the need, the want, the desire, and towards planning for the future. This is about giving some thought and consideration, analysis, that kind of thing. Now, in terms of work, occupation, perhaps, I'm going to mirror these two cards. It could be about, if it's about work and laying the foundation and building upon it, then it's about how are we going to go about doing that? What have we given any thought and consideration to about that, right? Because expectation can be a more passive card. Well, what does that mean? It's a card that can suggest inactivity, right? Because it's about waiting and being patient. So that's more of an inactive type process where work is more active, right? And so it could be that we're going to be wanting to move this forward, right? Because this would imply, in terms of timing, like I mentioned in the last video, this is like 3 months patience. So this could be a form of trying to drag things out and then change it, saying, no, let's speed that up. And then this card could be about planning, and then also too scheduling things on the calendar. That's my personal meaning for it, because for me, in my own experience, this card usually turns up for me when clients want to have their sessions scheduled on the calendar, and we kind of nail down a day and time, right? So but since this is a red bordered card, this would be the end of the story. I usually look at the stop cards as breaks or periods in a sentence. If each card was a part of a sentence and its construction, no pun intended, then the stop cards would be like, this is where the story ends. So I'm going to end it here. But so this is how you would lay out a line of 5 and then read it. And then, of course, I just threw in the evolving the story process by throwing in another card. So for Tamara and for anybody else who is interested, I hope you found that helpful. If you want to see this process again in future videos, just let me know in the comment section below. And so this is James Himm Mitchell. I am signing out. Thank you if you made it to this point in the video. Thank you for giving me the gift of your time. And I look forward to sharing another video and another reading with you in this space at a future time. So until then, take care.